Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today I am in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm here at the Midwest Railway Preservation Society, which is a group of people that are doing just that. They're preserving railway history. They've got all kinds of restoration projects going on. And I've got Pete, is that right?
Right. Pete Stojsavovich. I'm a trustee here,
Okay.
machinist by trade, and a frequent volunteer.
Great. And we're going to take a little tour of their machine shops here and probably take a little bit looking at some of the projects they're working on today and share it with you guys. So tell us a little bit about the facility that you're in here.
Well, Midwest Railway is now housed here at what was the former Baltimore, Ohio Railroad Roundhouse. This is one of the few roundhouses left, and it's also unique in the fact that it has been in continuous operation as a railroad facility since its construction in about 1905 when it went into service. As you can see, the curvature of the roundhouse, inside are the stalls, of course. Off to the right is what's left of the original machining facilities, which at one time extended much further to our right. It still is being used as our machine shop. We have our wood shop. We do our welding, paintwork, sandblasting, all in an effort to preserve vintage railroad equipment and rolling stock.
All right, well, let's go in there and take a look.
For sure.
We're walking into the machine shop area. Y'all call this a small machine shop?
Well, we call this one our tool room.
Okay.
Originally it was used as storage, and we brought in our smaller machine tools for use here, things that would be loaded by hand easily.
Okay. You got a LeBlanc lathe there?
Yep, got a vintage LeBlanc lathe here in running condition. A couple of Bridgeports that were donated from I believe these both came from the Ford Motor Company.
Okay. So yeah, that Bridgeport's on some type of different machine base, but that's handy to have that nice big area there.
And it supports a lot of weight.
Yeah. And the Bridgeport over here. And what's that, south end back here in the back?
Yeah, that's our south bend.
Okay. And you got all your tooling and...
Well, we go through a lot of fasteners.
Yeah.
So we try to keep a good stock of fasteners on hand.
Okay. Awesome.
This is part of the 4070 project.
Those are for the brakes, right?
Yep,
Those are brake shoes?
Those are brake shoes.
Okay.
What we're doing is we took out all the original bushings because most of them are rather badly worn out.
Okay.
Had them all sandblasted here. Now we're in the middle of doing dye penetrant, check for any cracks that might be in the casting. Right.
And then y'all will put new bushings back in there and make new pins for them, I guess.
Yeah, the pins and bushings we'll probably make here.
Okay, good deal. Oh, walking out into the larger shop area here. So they have some other machine tools and what have you. So what y'all got out here?
Well, out here we have an American pacemaker lathe.
All right, let's take a look at it.
Which is in nice shape, good running condition.
Oh yeah, American pacemaker. These are awesome machines. That's a pretty good size lathe too. What's the history on this one, do you know?
Several machine tools were acquired by the people that are restoring 2100. And they're here through their auspices. They had stored the Bullard outside, and we brought it inside and got it connected to power.
Let's take a look at it.
Has some mechanical issues, and we're working our way through that.
All right, yeah, tell me about the Bullard there. So this is a Bullard vertical lathe, VTL.
VTL, exactly.
And do you know any history on this?
I believe this is a late 40s machine, fully manual, of course, single post, single ram. But so technically it is a turret lathe, vertical turret lathe.
Right.
As opposed to, say, a horizontal or a vertical boring mill.
Right, and with the vertical turret lathe, of course, you put the part on this chuck and it turns like a lathe. And,
correct.
And you can put different boring bars or tooling on the turret and switch it around. They were really more designed for production work, but they can be used for doing individual things as well.
Yeah, the advantage to them is it's very heavy. You can put a very heavy piece on there. And it's excellent at stock removal.
Move chips fast, and you can do pretty good large size pieces on there. And it's a lot easier to got a big casting or something to set it on that table rather than trying to
mount it in a lathe,
right, where it's hanging out or whatever. So it's really nice from that standpoint.
This one's our long bed American pacemaker. It's in poor condition. Some sloppy rigging caused some damage, and we'll try to work our way through that.
Yeah, I think you told me that it kind of fell over on its face and broke a bunch of the knobs and handles and stuff. So.
Well, it bent the cross slide screw, and that's my main concern.
It bent the cross slide screw. Yeah, it's too bad. That's a beautiful machine, or would be running, but looks like it's fixable.
Well, if it's metal, it's repairable, right?
There you go.
Yeah, this comes in pretty handy for the guys that just have a one-off piece to drill.
Excellent. I've never seen many of those machines. I've seen them in catalogs and stuff, but that's a tall machine. What is a railroad shop without a radio drill, right?
Yeah, this one was donated to us by the Eaton Corporation here in Cleveland.
Okay. That's the Cincinnati Bickford.
This one's a Bickford, right?
And of course, you can do some pretty heavy work on this as well. And y'all got another one out back, I believe.
Right.
Nice.
Behind us, typical project that we have here, a lot of the roundhouse was never really designed for heavy lifting. It was for light maintenance of steam locomotives. So there aren't a lot of heavy lifting capabilities around here. So we kind of have to import mobile lift capacity. I'm not sure quite what the history was, and this has been here quite a while. When I became a member, it was literally in pieces scattered all over the shop. And we ran across a volunteer who had the time and patience to put it together pretty much like a jigsaw puzzle. And I think he's just replacing the water pump, and this piece is good to go. It's mobile, 360 degrees on the crane, plus the extension out on the hoist.
Y'all got some stuff on display over here. Clark wants to ring the bell. Clark wants to do anything to make noise.
I did pretty good to keep quiet now, so like a little kid.
Part of the mission of Midwest Railway is outreach to the public with education. So we do our best to, through open houses, displays, try to get people, the general public, a taste of vintage railroading.
So this is a neat piece. What's the story on this? It's like a board that show when trains were departing and stuff.
Yeah, as you drove by, you may have seen Cleveland Terminal Tower.
Okay.
Which was built in the 1930s as a railroad passenger station. Underneath the tower were the railroad facilities. This is one of the signs that came out of that terminal, Cleveland Union Terminal, that directed people to various tracks and what trains were on that track.
Neat.
This was actually donated to us. A fellow had it in his garage. He asked us if we wanted it, we should come and get it. He neglected to mention that his garage had burned down on top of the sign.
Oh no.
So our volunteers got out there, extracted it, and restored it.
Nice. Beautiful.
Part's the walled-off area that's used as a wood shop. Several of our coaches, our vintage coaches, have a lot of woodwork in them. The open air coaches have windows that are made out of mahogany frames. That plus a lot of other woodworking projects gets taken care of in here.
Clark.
It's a good thing we don't have the whistle hooked up. Right?
Yeah, good thing we don't have the whistle hooked up. Is exactly right.
Almost all the equipment here was donated at one time or another.
Okay.
And usually when you get donated equipment,
yeah, you got to work on it.
Yeah, it's probably at the end of its life, and you have to see what you can do to bring it back to life.
That's what I like to do, though. Man, look at that this sander there. That's what got to be 48 inches on.
Yeah,
That
solid
thing's huge.
solid sheet of sandpaper goes on there.
Wow. Yeah. Got an old table saw in here. This is the Northfield. Okay. Up in Minnesota. They're still in business, still making machine tools. You can probably still get parts for that. Neat. Drill press, grinder, some saws. But yeah, you're just basic woodworking shop. One thing that's kind of cool in here is the flooring is all ingrained wooden blocks. That's not brick.
Nope, those are wood blocks.
Yeah, you can see the actual grain in it. And you see those in a lot of these old factories like this. That's what they would make the floor out of. If you drop something on it, didn't bust it like concrete.
Right. Plus, it's a lot easier on your legs to
Yeah.
stand on all day long.
Right. Makes it a lot easier to just stand on. So
Any fluids or liquids that got spilled usually soak through the wood, so you would never have a real slippery floor like you might on concrete.
and pretty much the whole machine shop is like that too, or part of it. Anyway.
Parts of it.
Yeah. So, kind of cool. I've seen that in other roundhouses that I've visited over the years too. They have these wood block floors in them.
As you can see, there's the rail that pokes up through the floor.
Uh-huh. And this is actually coming out into the stalls
Of the roundhouse.
of the roundhouse, and y'all got various projects going on in here. And so we've got rail car over here. That's another thing y'all work on, is restoring these rail cars, and y'all lease these out for excursions and stuff, right?
Correct. This one is a Pullman sleeper. It has pull-down sleeping accommodations in the center.
Right. So a section car, I guess is what they call that, right?
Yeah, you could call that.
Yep. And steam locomotive here, and we're going to actually do a little tour on this in a little bit, tell you more about this one, but this is the bicentennial train, right? Or will be.
It will be.
Yeah. Or I guess not the bicentennial, 250th
Fifth.
American Freedom Train. Another coach. Is this a Pullman too?
No, this is a coach, a day coach.
Okay.
1930s vintage, built for the Nickel Plate Road. Was acquired by Midwest way back in the 60s when the Nickel Plate was surplusing out these old style heavyweight type coaches. It is currently it's getting updates. So you can see we have it jacked up in the air.
That's neat. I've got these big jacks here that just pick it right up. Big screw jacks. Got 4 of them on there where you can get it up off the wheel sets.
Yeah, they have by design lifting points. So you find those lifting points, put a little padding between that and the jack. These jacks are all electrically timed with a central control, so you can lift the car up evenly. In cases of passenger cars, the trucks are secured with a pin, so you have to release that pin, and then it just comes up.
So what's story on this locomotive?
Restored very little. This locomotive ran out in the Cuyahoga Valley up until about the early 90s. It is a 1918, what's called a Mikado type steam locomotive. Was built for the Grand Trunk Railroad. Once it was out of service or sold off, the Valley acquired it and ran it, Midwest acquired it and ran it in excursions in Conneaut, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Did excursion service in the Cuyahoga Valley until it broke down in about 1991 or 92. But they never really had sufficient funds to do the necessary repairs. So over the years, it sat waiting for volunteers and money to do a restoration. And that's what we're currently involved with, is restoring this locomotive.
Good.
One of the problems with the locomotive, and it ran with it for years, was a crack in the frame. It had actually gone off the edge of a turntable and fallen into a pit. They put a plate on it to repair it and build it up with weld, but there was always a suspicion that the frame was not aligned correctly, causing uneven wheel wear. So one of the things that we will do is gouge out all the old weld. We got a generous donation of rod from the Lincoln Electric Company. We'll build a cradle to support the frame to prevent any further warpage to the frame, and rebuild that all with weld.
I think a lot of times people don't realize the size of these locomotives until you're standing next to one. This isn't even a really big one.
No, this is an average size one.
Yeah.
This will fit in the roundhouse with a tender attached, whereas 2100 will not. It's too big.
So tell me about all the grids on here, what that is. I know what it is, but tell my viewers.
Sure. This, of course, is the Firebox. This is where the main business of generating heat occurs. Because of the intense heat that is generated inside the Firebox, there's a tendency to fatigue the steel. So literally what it is a water jacket, and over time the abrasion of water and heat causes erosion of the steel plates. There are specified thicknesses for the steel plate, and you have to make sure that these plates in all these sections is still within minimum specification. And the only way to do that is through an ultrasound test. So what the guys will do, will mark grids and check in about 4 or 5 places, get an ultrasonic reading as to the thickness of the plate. Any that are discovered to be too thin or too eroded then have to be cut out and welded. New pieces welded in.
There's the Carlton radial drill. 5-foot reach, and was that a 15-inch column on it, so that's pretty good. Tell me your name again.
Nick.
Nick, and you're with?
The American Steam Railroad with the Reading 2100.
Yeah, and they are actually working on restoring this big steam locomotive behind me. So tell me a little bit about this locomotive and what you guys have been doing on it.
Yeah, so like I said, this is the Reading 2100, soon to be the American Freedom Train 250. It was originally built in 1925 as a smaller locomotive, and then when the war came around, the Reading needed bigger power. So they converted that small engine to what you have here, basically a hot rod on rails. And it ran for a little over 12 years in freight service. And then it spent a little time in excursion service for about 5 years. And then after that, just kind of bounced around the preservation scene, used for a parts engine for the American Freedom Train. Spent short stints operating all the way out in Washington State. And then in 2014, we signed a lease on it, brought it here to Cleveland the next year. And here we are restoring it, making it running.
Good deal. So let's take a look at it and check her out.
Yeah, totally.
So quarters are kind of tight in here. We're actually in a roundhouse. So this building that we're in was part of the, what railroad, the B&O? Or?
Yeah, the Baltimore and Ohio. It was built in 1906. Used for, it never would have seen anything the size of the 2100 in here. It would have seen probably locomotives more the size of the 4070, which we're going to see in a second. Things like that. So in preservation, it's kind of taken on a different role. This would have been a light engine service facility back in the day. And these days, I mean, we're doing full rebuilds here, like with the 2100 and the 4070. Yeah, built in 1906, and the Midwest has been here since 1975, 74. So, yeah, it's seen quite a bit through the years.
And y'all, what all have y'all done to this? You said y'all have done most of your boiler work. In fact, you're getting ready to probably put some fire in it here pretty soon.
Yep. So the first thing that we did when we got in here is we did ultrasound readings over the entire boiler, checked the thickness levels. And what we found is that the inside side sheets of the Firebox were a little thin. They'd been replaced at a previous point with some lighter metal, so it wore prematurely as compared to the rest of the Firebox. So pretty much everything from the running board down on the inside is new. So all the rivets are new, the bolts are all new. Those were machined by our volunteers a few years ago. There were 560 of them roughly. So we did that. Then just this past couple of years, we took all the boiler tubes out of it, did an inspection of the inside of the boiler, put new tubes in it, and just back in March, we had the Federal Railroad Administration come in to witness a hydrostatic test, and they took no exceptions during that test. They found it satisfactory.
So Tell a little bit about the stay bolts for those that don't know about those. I know you mentioned that, but you said y'all had to replace some of these, but tell me what those do and so forth.
Right, so a stay bolt is basically, the way a firebox is built, you have an outside sheet and an inside sheet, and between those two are water and pressure. So under pressure, those plates are gonna wanna spread apart. So a stay bolt basically helps those plates stay in place. So the ones that you see that are basically just a straight bolt through, those are rigid stay bolts. And then the ones that you have the flexible caps on them, those are flexible stay bolts. So they have a ball on this outside end so that they can flex around a little bit as the boiler expands. And with this curved firebox, it was built to burn anthracite coal, which is not the greatest coal to use in steam. So they built this firebox really wide. But in the process of doing that, the firebox, with all the curvature in it, it needed a lot of flexible stay bolts compared to what would normally be in a firebox. So that's why, like on a regular firebox, you would have basically flexible bolts running up the side, and most of the middle here would be all rigid stay bolts. But as you can see, lots of flexibles in this one.
Okay. And I see you got all your refractory brick down here. Y'all are actually going to convert this over to run on oil.
Yep. So back in 2023 and a little into 2022, we did basically, you could call it a study on the different types of fuel that we wanted to use. Originally our plan was, it was originally built, like I said, to run on coal, and then when it went to Canada up into Washington, it was converted to burn oil. Unfortunately, that system was never really standardized the way they did it. So our original plan was to convert it back to coal. Well, over the course of the project, the coal economy kind of changed. So we sort of reevaluated that. And by the time 2023 rolled around, it became pretty clear that oil was going to be the way to go. So yeah. All this fire paint under here is new within the last 6 or so months. Started putting that metal in back in May. And now we're getting close to completing the metal fabrication on it. And all this brick just showed up a couple of weeks ago, actually. So all that brick's gonna go in there and be refracted over. I'm not the oil burning expert here, so if I'm, getting some terms wrong, I apologize, but that's what that's for. That's gonna go in there, and like I said, hopefully before the end of the year, we'll be able to have a fire in it.
Good. And your long-term goals for this is?
Our long-term goal is to actually restore the locomotive to operation, and we are most of the way through that at this point. So our goal is to have the locomotive travel around the country to different railroads, different short lines. We've received letters of intent over the years from 7 different railroads in 4 different states, and currently we are in contract negotiations with 2 of them.
Good.
So this will definitely have places to operate and for the public to enjoy them. And so yeah, that's what our plans are for this locomotive.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing us a little bit about it. This looks like an awesome project, and I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for it, seeing when it hits the rails.
Oh yeah, of course. Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah.
Well, essentially the operation of any roundhouse is a turntable. Over the years, it had fallen into disuse, and a lot of the plumbing had been covered over or plugged up. So it was up to us to restore drainage, re-level the inner ring, and get the table balanced so that we could use it and do it in a 360 rotation. Right now we've got about 120 degrees of easy rotation.
Of course, the roundhouse is behind us, and you just line that up for which stall you want to go into to go back into the roundhouse. Well, Pete, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time and showing us around, and we actually got a chance to walk around and see some other stuff too, but I wanted to share on the video a little bit about this. And this isn't really a museum. This isn't open to the public. Y'all are just really more doing work for other people, right?
We do hold open houses.
Okay.
And we will allow tours by appointment.
By appointment, okay.
That way we can make sure there's a volunteer here that can show you around.
All right, and we're in Cleveland, Ohio, and you can find them on the web. Name is what, Midwest?
MidwestRailway.org.
Okay.
We're on Facebook. I believe we're also on Instagram.
Okay. Well, again, thank you very much for showing us around.
Oh,
I hope my viewers enjoyed it.
I'm very, very pleased to have you visit us.
Great. Thank you very much.
Sure thing.
All right. Guys, with that, that's going to be a wrap. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon up there to get notifications when new videos are posted. Hit or leave comments and give a thumbs up if you like what you saw. And as always, a big thank you to those who support the site. And with that, we're going to sign off and get out of here. Clark and I got to get up the road to our next stop, so we're on our big road trip right now. So again, thanks for watching.